Okay. We're on for Daf Lamed Hey on the base, and we were discussing in the Mishnah on Lamed Hey with Aleph. We were discussing that if the Eruv has been burnt or has been burnt, or it was a wall fell on it, etc. The kitzer, it's or it became tomei, so it's not accessible or totally not edible for anybody. So if the eruv is not accessible or not able to be eaten by anybody, so if that happens during the daytime of Erev Shabbos, so then the eruv is not good. If that happens after it becomes dark, after Bein Hashmoshes, after the end of Bein Hashmoshes, so as long as Bein Hashmoshes the eruv was edible, accessible, so what happens later doesn't matter, and it's still a kosher eruv as long as it was a fit eruv Bein Hashmoshes. Now, the main point in the Mishnah is that what happens if it's a suffix? If we don't know if the situation was that it was available Bein Hashmoshes or not. So according to Meir and Rabbi Huda, we have to be machmir, and therefore he loses. Actually, that is because we're machmir, so we don't know which, because usually a person has 4,000 amas, because you have the center where you live, and then you have 2,000 amas in each direction. But since we are not sure if it was a suffix, whether the eruv is a kosher eruv, so we don't know where is the center that he was living. So therefore, basically, what happens is that he's lost the ability to walk 4,000 amas because we don't. And therefore, the only place where we're sure that he's able to walk is between the city where he lives and where the eruv is. Those 2,000 amas are still available, but the other 2,000 amas, which would be in the other direction of where he's living, which we're not sure where he's living, that it becomes not available. So you have to be machmir. That is the opinion of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Huda, and Rabbi Yosef says that suffix eruv. It's the eruv is the rabbanon, suffix eruv is kosher, and therefore you can assume that the eruv is a good eruv, and go ahead. Right. So we are like two lines down on him and base, 1.5 lines down, and the Gemara asks, the Sover Meir holds does Meir hold sveikel lechumra, that in the suffix we go the suffix with the rabbanon we go lechumra, the eruv is the rabbanon. But what now we learned in the Mishnah, Tomei sheyored lit Tom, he went to Tovel the mikveh, suffix with Tovel, and is a suffix whether he was Tovel or wasn't Tovel. Bafilo Tovel, even though or a different suffix, he's sure he Tovel. But suffix Tovel barboim saw suffix like Tovel barboim saw. It's a suffix whether it was a 40 saw in the mikveh, because when he checks now in the mikveh, he doesn't see arboim saw because it's less than arboim saw. But maybe earlier before he checked, it was arboim saw. He didn't check immediately when he went. Let's say, so he's checking now, and so the kitzer, he has a suffix whether when he was in the mikveh, whether it was still arboim saw or whether there wasn't arboim saw already. So similar suffix. If you have two mikvahs, ba'achas yesh ba'arboim saw, ba'achas ein ba'arboim saw. One has 40 saw, one does not have 40 saw. The tovel ba'achas when it was tovel, one the mikvahs in the day, it doesn't know the ezman tovel which one is to was tovel. No suffix. So therefore sveiket tom. So if it's since the suffix whether the mikvah was a kosher mikvah, so therefore he is tomei. We go l'chumra and he's tomei. When it's talk about tumah chamura, when it's talking about tumah chamura, which is a tumah deraisa, tumah chamura is tumah deraisa. Tumah kala, what about if tumah the kala, which is only the rabbanon? Kigoyin gives the examples. She'ochel eichlin tmeim v'shosam asking tmeim. So the rabbanon would geyser that if a person eats food, half a pras, of Talmudic food or drinks mashke, so then the person becomes Thomas. So that's a tumah drabanan. They'll geyser because he might be eating truma with the Talmudic food, and therefore you'll be metam the truma as you're eating, whatever. But it's a tumah drabanan. Or another tumah drabanan, vapor reishav ruba ma'im shuvim. If somebody who's gone ruba, reishav ruba is going into ma'im shuvim, which is all because of the mikvahs, because the people used to go and they used to wash themselves in the mikvahs. The mikvahs was smelly, and people thought or would think that not the mikvahs makes Torah, but makes the water which you wash yourself afterwards is Torah. But it's a chum geyser that if you go Rosh Hashanah into Maim Shuvim, so then you become Tommy. Oh, you should not follow Rosh Hashanah, or if you fell in him, Rosh Hashanah fell three looking of Maim Shuvim, and so any of these tumas which are all the Rabbanon. The Yoradlit and he went to Bitovel, and then one of these sfekas happened, and the mission is going to repeat the sfekas. Suffolk Tovel, so Suffolk Tovel, Suffolk, but he went to make Suffolk did not go to make Fila Suffolk Tovel even. Sorry, Fila Tovel even if he's sure it was Tovel, but he had a different Suffolk Tovel Barboim Suffolk Tovel Barboim Suffolk. What he was a Tovel in 40 saw, or it wasn't 40 saw. Was all this similar suffix. There was two mikvahs. So one was had the share of Aboim, so one was less than the share of a mikvah. The Tovel Bachas went to one of the mikvahs in day in basement Tovel. It doesn't know which one of the mikvahs he went into. So Sveike Tor. So suffix is Tor. So what do you see? So the first opinion of Tanakama, he holds the Sveike is Tor. Sveike Deravan is Tor. Rabbi Yosef is Metam. So. And who is the Stam Mishnah? This doesn't say the name. Stam Mishnah is Rabbi. So we see that Rabbi holds the suffix the Rabbanon, you go Lakula. So how come over here by Eruvin, he says that suffix Eruvin is you have to go Lakum. So the Gemara answers, because Rabbi that Rabbi holds that Chum is Takadei Rice. Okay, so that's a terrace. Once he holds it, Tchum is deraisis, so it becomes a suffix deraisis. That's why the mayor goes with suffix derabbanon. He agrees. Goes before. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to ask the suffix remei Tchum deraisis. Does remei hold Tchum deraisis? Last time with the Mishnah, im eine yochel havli. If he's not able to swallow it in. Is bezu Omar Beriana, I'm Shubremeyer. That's what the story by Rabbi said in the name of Remeyer, Shemaiti, Shemekadrin Behorim. That kilo you make a hole through the mountain. Okay, so what's the story? The story is like this: that when we measure the tchumen to get to know how far is the 2,000 amas, so we're trying to measure what distance are you permitted to walk from the house, and you have to measure 2,000 amas. So you use a string which is 50 amas long. So if you use a string which is 50 amas long, and let's say there's a road, and the person is going to go along the road. So the person is going to go along the road. So if he has a small hill, now if you have a small hill, so as the crow flies, or the bird flies, I can't remember what the expression is. So as the bird flies, for instance, it will only be, let's say, 100 amas as the crow flies. But because there's a hill, that means so the poil hill will be walking more than 100 amas to cover the 100 amas because of the incline, depending how high that area is and how high that hill is. So he could be, well, let's say, doing double. I don't know the maths, but let's assume they can do 200 amas. So therefore, it's possible that the person who'll be walking as the crow flies, it's only 100 amas. But the poil, he's walked already. By the time he gets to the bottom of the other side of the hill, he's walked already 200 amas. So it's so this. If you have with a string, you're measuring with this, so we're making the measurements with the string. So you don't have to measure the path exactly the way he will walk, and therefore because the path he will walk, and we can take the string, put the string at one end of the hill, and put another string and the other end of the string at the other end of the hill. So if it's the same string, the string of 50 amas, depending on how wide this thing is. So if it's not too wide, so you can put the string on the 50 amas, and you will, if you and assuming that it's not a ridge where you have to go. The string also has to go up and down. It's a mountain, like which can go around. So therefore, the string will actually, even though when you walk, you have to walk through the mountain. But when you put the string, you can actually put the string on one side of the hill, and the other end of the string, of the 50 amos string, is not so large, 75 foot. The other amos are the other side of the hill, and it doesn't go through the top, and therefore you'll save. It won't take. Let's say that if you walk on both inclines, yeah, as you 200 amos. I give a bad example because I said 100 amos as the crow flies. 100 amos is too much because the string won't make it. Let's say as the crow flies, it's 30 amos. So as the crow flies, it's 30 amos. If you walk up and down, then you'll end up having 60 amos. So just double it. So, but if you can put the 50 amos string without the 50 amos string going all the way over the top of that hill, and it's going around maybe the base or somewhere in the middle, and so that string will start that way at the base of the hill on one side, and will finish the same string. The same string will finish at the base of the hill on the other side. Okay, so then so that's it. So it's 50 amos, 45 amos, whatever, and so maybe it'll end up probably being a bit more than 30 amos, but you have saved some amos, and therefore you're still able. So in practice, he will be walking 60 amos, but because the string didn't go through the exact path the way he's walking, so therefore he was able to save. And I thought it's only like say 40 amos, 45 amos. So he saved himself 15 amos, gives him an extra 15 amos to walk. Okay, so that is the pshat of mavlioi. If you're mavliya. So the string is mavliya the hill. The string is mavliya the hill, that's fine. Now, what happens if the string is not mavliya the hill? Because the hill is, like I said, let's say it covers 100 amos area, and if you walk up the hill on one side and go down the other side, it's 200 amos. If you go up the incline, and the 50 amos string can't go around the hill because it's 100 amos. As a crow flies, it's 100 amos. So if you can't use the 50 amos string to sort of override the mountain, not mountain, the hill, the small hill, so then there's another way of Mikadrim B'Horim. Mikadrim means to make holes in the mountain. It's like you're going through the mountain, you're making a hole in it, and therefore you don't count the whole distance of that mountain or hill. Now you don't actually make a hole. What it means is that you save. Let's say the incline on both sides, if you add them up, is going to be 200 amos. So what's going to happen? You'll have to go through measure the incline. You will have to measure the incline, but you're able to skip out some of the amos of the incline. What do? You take a 4 amos string, and the person, we get 2 people. One person picks up the 4 amos string, and puts it by his heart. So he puts it by his heart. So he raises it to his heart, and the string. Then it makes a straight line at a 90-degree angle to himself, where he's standing. The 90-degree angle. He makes the string straight, and it should go to touch the feet of the other person, of person B. So A holds the string to his heart, and at the 90-degree angle to where to his standing, and then the string this string of 4 amos, it will put it at the feet of B. So what happens is that the incline between where B is standing and where A is standing is, let's say, if you want to measure the incline, it will be 5 amos. And when you since you did not measure the incline, you made a straight line between the heart of the person and the feet. So what's that? That's you sort of, it's 3 amos height. You've gained. So on these 3 amos height, you only measured a straight line. On these 3 amos, So the heart, let's say, is about 3 amas from the floor. So you've raised from the floor 3 amas. There's an incline going from your heart to the other person's feet, and the incline, if you measure it, will be, let's say, 5 amas or 5.5 amas. But you are only reckoning it as 4 amas, because the string of 4 amas, the distance of 4 amas, covered that distance, and it was perpendicular. It wasn't and so on. And then when the person who gets there, so he picks up the string, Mr. B picks up the string and takes the string and puts it to his heart, and A goes again, and it goes to the feet of A, and goes to the feet of A. So again, the next incline, which is another 5 amas of walking on the incline, it's become only 4 amas, 5.5 amas, 5 incline. So Bekitza, every time they raise, they sort of cut out some of the other incline. So they do actually get more amas of walking, because some of the incline, not all of it, but some of the incline will be, because for every 3 amas they rise, every time they rise 3 amas, which is, I guess, that's from the feet till the heart, that's every time they rise 3 amas, they get a distance of 4 amas, 4 amas to walk, and more or less, because it doesn't say anywhere about 90-degree angle. You have to put it at the feet of the other person, so it may not be exactly a 90-degree angle. So you can't measure it in geometry, because it will depend on the mountain, of how the incline of the mountain works. But the idea is you take it from the heart and you put it to the feet of the person, and the string is only arba amas. I started off with a 90-degree angle, but the truth is it's not always a 90-degree angle, because the shape of the mountain may be such that it's either more or less in order to get to the feet, but it has to touch the feet of the other person. But you do gain. It's understood from the example of 90-degree angle. You will understand that you do gain that not all the amas of the incline is measured, and it's going to count for less amas. Okay, so that's the story with the tchum. Yeah. The Isak. So we find a way out how to, even though you're actually walking more, but we sort of we give him extra distance, more than the 2,000 amas to walk. Okay. So tomorrow ask a question. Isak if so, who's this? Rabbi Stoy said, Mishum Reb Meir. He said, I heard that you can make these holes in the mountains. You can sort of make a bit of you can gain you can make a bit of gain some extra distance, and make a shortcut for the tchum, and therefore to use up less less amas to use up than the actual walking, which will use more amas. So it's like how can you make this play around these games? In the Kadrin, how can you make a hole in the mountain? How can you do that to lessen to give you extra distance to walk? So therefore, how do you say? You said the mayor holds tchum deraisa, and it seems that his makel makes a kula which would not be fitting at all for a deraisa. What basis? If it's deraisa, what basis do you make this kula? Okay. Amar Rav Nachman, and what's the proof? And Amar Rav Nachman. And by the Raisa we cannot do that, because and we see that by Raisa we cannot do that, because that when it comes to the Raisa we can't do this Mekadrin. So it's very clear that this is only applicable to the Rabbanon. So how can you say the Meir says the Rabbanon when you apply Mekadrin to the Tchumin? So the Gemara says, okay, the Meir himself holds Tchumin deraisa. This one which Meir was makel and counted and dealt with it like a Rabbanon with the Tchumen that is from the Rabbi, from his teacher. They can the Ketani bezu Amar Meir the Sleiber Yanim Meir Shemayin Tishim Kadmon. It says he said in the name of Meir. What did Meir say? Shemayin Tishim Kadmon. So they see that that's what you heard from his teacher, but his personal opinion was that it's the right, and therefore the Meir's personal opinion is that you should be machmer by a suffix of you should be machmer by a suffix of the deraisa. Sorry, by the deraisa you have to machmer. Once the Meir holds tchumen is deraisa, then you have to machmer by a suffix. Now, the Gemara is going to ask a question. The Romi deraisa. Let's ask a question. The question is going to be that the chayra by the Raisa we should go according to the chazak. That's the kasha going to be. As we will that even though the mayor holds the Raisa, so even you hold the Raisa, still nevertheless by suffix you should be able to be makel if the chazak is the kula. If the chazak is the kula, you should be able to be makel. And the Rambam the Raisa this now no go be'echad b'laylo. If he touched somebody at the night, somebody who's sleeping next to him and he touched him at night, whatever. But any day he doesn't know him. He doesn't know the person is dead or alive. Before he went to sleep, obviously he was alive. And then next day he sees he's dead. So is it Torah or Tomei? Because at night he didn't know whether the guy's dead or not. So the Meir says it's Torah because it's Chacham Metamim. So the Meir says it's Torah because you go to Chazak Chacham Metamim because she called out Hatmei is kishas mitzvah. The tumah is when you find it, when you see it. So when you see it, it's tumah. So therefore, it's tumah. You didn't. So it was when the first opportunity when you saw it, that's what you go according to, and therefore the tumah. But the mayor goes according to the chazaka because before he went to sleep he was alive. So you assume he was alive. So that's the case now. Mishnah since before Shabbos. He put it there. So even though later he has a suffix, but it got ruined during the Ben Hashmoshes or not, so it's a suffix. But when he put it there, he knows that. So that's a chazaka. It's still there. So that we should follow the chazaka, right? So Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah Mishnah Seinu that Mishnah Shehoyol, which is Shehoyol Leah Sheretz, and this is specifically this is the question about Tumah, because we're speaking about Truma and it became Tomei. So Truma when it came to Tomei, so you see Rabbi Meir says you go according to Tumah, you go according to the Chazaka. Even though to make it lenient, you go according to Chazaka to make it lenient. So Rabbi Yirmiyah says Mishnah Sheinu al Mishnah Shehoyal Sheretz called Ben Hashmoshes. That there was a Sheretz, the whole Ben Hashmoshes. So therefore it's Tomei. So 1 second. Yeah. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. You say there was a sheretz, the whole Ben Hashmoshes. If that's the case, so how does Rabbi Yossi say it's kosher? There's no suffix here. If that's the case, Yehochi b'hol leimer Rabbi Yossi suffix, erev kosher. Is it so? Rabbi says it's kosher because the suffix area. What's the suffix area? It's no suffix. If it's that the whole Ben Hashmoshes was the sheretz, the sheretz is was there the whole Ben Hashmoshes. So if that's the case, for sure the erev is not an erev. There's no question about it. So how does Rabbi say it's a suffix erev kosher? Anyway, so the Gemara rejects this answer, and Rabbi Yistam Kavayu there's 2 groups of 8. He has 2 witnesses. One says that one says that the tumor was the tumor was by day still. The day was tumor. One says one says that the tumor is only the tumor which became tumor and therefore it's unfit to eat. So the tumor was at night. So therefore, you have 2. You have 2 groups of witnesses who contradict each other. So some say it was that Ben Hashmoshes it was there, it was erev, and the other 2 witnesses say it was not an erev Ben Hashmoshes. So So therefore, in such a case, we do not follow the chazaka, because if you have two edim against two edim, so there's a machlokes about that. But if you have two edim against two edim, do you say chazaka or not? So in such a shitter Rameir will be that if you have two edim who contradict two other edim, then chazaka doesn't help, because just very briefly, the edim is the strongest proof that we have, and therefore those that say that if you have two edim, so that's the strongest proof that we have. So therefore, chazaka has no value to weigh over in the balance, even though there's two edim one way, two edim the other way. So it's like an equal suffix in a way. So even though it's an equal suffix, so chazaka cannot tip the balance according to some opinions. Chazaka cannot tip the balance, because since the greatest proof that you have is edim, so any proof that you have will never ever be stronger than edim. Okay, you have a problem. You have two edim against these edims. You're not sure, but there's nothing which can intervene and help weigh it to one side. Since going against edim, nothing can go against two edim. There are other opinions which say the two groups cancel out, therefore we can't follow. But that's not the opinion remain. The opinion remain. Rava Omar, Rava Gizteres, Hosom Trei Chazaka L'Kul V'Hocha Chada Chazaka L'Kul. The Rava says that that there you have two chazakas of kokula in the case of Elila, because there was two chazakas. One, that the person was toher before he touched the person himself was toher. And second, the chazaka of the person being alive. So you have two chazakas. So you have two chazakas. So then if you have two chazakas, so then that's reliable in the case of a even by the rice who rely upon that. But in the case we have only one chazaka, in our case in the Eruvin, only one chazaka, that you put the Eruvin there was there during daytime, so it's only one chazaka, so therefore you don't you would not go the kula.